Now, I do enjoy fighting games, and for those that know me, they know I simply adore the Street Fighter 2 series, especially Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But then, I'm not averse to other fighting titles such as Virtua Fighter 2 and Tekken 3. And speaking of Street Fighter 2, there was a legendary fighting game in the 90s that went toe to toe with Capcom's finest. This of course was Mortal Kombat, and since its appearance in 1992, this series has had a 30-year history with the illustrious world of gaming.
That's pretty good.
And to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Mortal Kombat, we have to go all the way back to the 90s to appreciate its mark on the world of gaming. Now, arcades of the 80s and 90s were magical places, and these neon lighted locations were massively popular with gamers of all ages. And it was in the early 90s that the arcade found itself being blessed with some truly classic video games. A few that come to mind are obviously Street Fighter 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Moonwalker, and of course, X-Men. And while these titles are tantalising players, little did they know that the arcade itself would soon hear a legendary battle cry. The attention was now on Midway's new fighting game, which took the concept of one-on-one fighting and added a touch of violence mixed with gore. Now players were obviously used to seeing Ryu from Street Fighter 2 perform his Hadoukens, as well as Donatello shouting out pizza time. But just imagine walking into the arcade and witnessing a yellow ninja pull his face off and set someone on fire. Trust me, the first time I saw that, I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing on the screen. My young mind was simply blown. But you can't talk about Mortal Kombat without mentioning the story, so let me explain. Mortal Kombat takes place on Shang Tsung's island, where a tournament is being held to determine the fate of Earthrealm. However, for the last 500 years, our world has won 9 consecutive tournaments in a row, all thanks to his greatest champion, Goro. The Shokan Warrior is a force to be reckoned with, and he towers over his opponents a bit like a Wookiee, but on steroids.
Phenomenal cosmic power!
Of course, video games at the time did have a degree of violence within them, but nowhere near the levels of Mortal Kombat. Now, there were a few issues regarding censorship, but gamers weren't interested in the legalities. They were more focused on electrocuting their opponents or ripping out their spine.
Excellent!
Mortal Kombat proved itself to be massively popular and had many ports over the gaming systems available at the time. And with most things are successful, a sequel would soon follow, but this time it was filled with more dangers than before. Mortal Kombat 2 took the formula of its predecessor and improved upon it in so many ways. The gameplay was bigger and better, there were more characters for players to choose from, and of course, there were even more out of this world special moves to be used. Even my favourite Mortal Kombat character, Scorpion, had some new and deadly moves at his disposal. But one thing that made a welcome return was of course the deadly fatalities. However, with Mortal Kombat 2, there are also non-violent variations of these fatalities, some being family friendly, while others were simply bizarre. Of course, I'm referring to the babyalities as well as the friendships, and as amusing as they are, gamers were still continuing to incinerate their opponents as well as stealing their souls.
Your soul is mine.
Such was the popularity of Mortal Kombat 2 that it took the gaming world by storm, and would garner multiple ports of this arcade hit.
Shut up and take my money!
It seemed that Mortal Kombat 2 had cemented itself in history as one of the perfect follow-ups to an already equally amazing game, as well as finding itself going on to become a part of pop culture.
It's so beautiful!
Back in '93, Mortal Kombat 2 was everywhere, and if you stopped and just listened for a moment, you would hear a certain war cry.
Mortal Kombat! Do, 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 do.
Not gonna deny it, but I still do this even now. But anyway, with 2 successful games now out in the wild, it was inevitable that Mortal Kombat 3 would soon find itself entering the fantastical world of gaming.
Nice.
Once again, the arcade as well as the realm of video games found themselves coming face to face with yet another unstoppable force from the Mortal Kombat series. Mortal Kombat 3 was planned to be a 3D fighting game. However, it was decided to stick with the tried and tested formula that made the first two games such a success. The gameplay had been tweaked to near perfection, especially with the options of combining combos for that ultimate smackdown. But one thing that was praised by gamers was the return of the beloved fatalities.
Oh my.
However, there was something lacking when it came to Mortal Kombat 3, and this was the exclusion of some characters from the previous games.
Oh, really?
Not having Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 3 was a massive oversight, especially for those that were fans of the Undead Ninja. Despite this though, Mortal Kombat 3 was still a success for the arcade, as well as the multitude of home ports available at the time.
Yes!
The craze surrounding the original trilogy showed no signs of slowing down, and I'm certain some of you out there are aware of a spin-off game starring Sub-Zero, but I'm going to save that title as well as the other spin-offs for a separate video, one you don't want to miss.
You're goddamn right.
Now the series would eventually enter the realm of 3D with Mortal Kombat 4, but I'll reveal more about the 3D Mortal Kombat games in the next video.
Oh, come on!
Anyway, come back next time for part 2, where I continue our journey through the Mortal Kombat franchise. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.